hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. These words from the Declaration of Independence are familiar to us all, but what do they mean to us? Our founding fathers were proposing to separate from the most powerful monarchy in the world and form a nation governed by its own people. Never before had such a government existed, and no one in the world believed it could be done. How could a rabble of ill-trained, under-equipped citizens win independence from the mightiest army in the world? This was an impossible challenge, and yet our forefathers, the first Americans, met the challenge and succeeded. Once we had our independence, the challenges were far from over. The next challenge was how 13 independent colonies could unite together in one great nation. One very famous sentence showed that this challenge could be faced and overcome. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The preamble to the Constitution was a promise to ourselves that we have been struggling to preserve throughout this great nation's history. The greatest threat to this promise was the Civil War. President Lincoln's great challenge was to preserve this promise and right the great wrong of slavery and secure the union of North and South. In his Gettysburg Address, Lincoln said, "407 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure." The United States defied all odds and emerged from the strife of civil war governed by the same Constitution. A century after the Civil War, another of our great presidents implored the citizens of the United States to undertake the most impossible of all challenges. In a speech at Rice University, President John F. Kennedy famously said, "We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard, because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and the others too." A mere 7 years later, in 1969, another great American named Neil Armstrong said from the surface of the moon, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." America is a nation created from challenge and driven by success through hardship. This is the heritage passed down through the generations that we have the will and the courage to overcome all challenges in our path. Thank you.